right, everybody, we're back here today with Alex Charfen here. We've had him on episode 114, and we wanted to come back on because we had such a great conversation last time that we thought we'd jump into it again. And this time, we're going to be helping people out there that have asked questions to both myself and Alex. And, a lot of people out there getting more and more involved in video, more and more involved in being authentic. And I think I really love that Alex has very been big on that lately. So, Alex, say hello to everybody out there.
Hey, Dennis. Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you, man. If you don't know who Alex Charfen is, he is the king of entrepreneurs. I'm going to call him in my own words, but how entrepreneurs think is really what he's been revolving his life around lately. And it's really cool to watch his personal videos on Facebook, on Twitter, on now Instagram. I guess you're getting pretty big on Instagram as well. So we've got him here today. We're going to brainstorm. We're kind of chatting here today. So Alex, I'm really excited to have you again here today, and we're going to kind of jam into this. And Alex, I'm seeing it everywhere. People are really afraid to be who they want to be. And I noticed you've been very good at that lately. You even explained it like, hey, I'm just getting out there. I'm putting myself on video. I'm putting myself there and saying what I want to say. And one of the greatest things I saw is you were recently talking to some business owners recently at MIT. And in one of your videos, I highly encourage everybody to go out there and watch this. But people are coming to you more and more for being authentic, understanding how they think as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, Dennis. I think when you look at entrepreneurs, I think all of us for a long time have been struggling. Every entrepreneur struggles with who they are. I think almost entrepreneurship kind of implies there's a self-inflicted identity crisis because those who say I'm an entrepreneur, those who say I'm going to go out and do something in the world that doesn't exist today. And it's hard. It's difficult to do when you're one of us. So I encourage entrepreneurs to be themselves. And one of the sayings I have is that any attempt to be anything other than yourself is only going to cause operational drag. It only slows you down. It only makes what you want to do harder. And, if we look at this in the greater context of the business that we should all build, every one of us, or the job or the life we should all build, every one of us should build a life that reflects back to us what we want on a daily basis. And when you back up to the beginning of that equation, if you are authentic in who you are, if you're real in who you are, if you are openly admitting what it is you want from life and you're clear on it, you're very likely to get it. And I think these days, so many of us are chasing someone else's dreams or the imposed goals someone else has handed us. And that is hard not only to get excited about, but it's hard to get momentum when you're chasing someone else's dreams, somebody else, what they want you to do. And so, I think that the more any attempt to be anything other than yourself is only going to slow you down.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And, first off, people have seen your interviews before, and one second, Cody's one. She waits till I go live to want to go outside.
That's how it always is.
That was a dog break, everybody. Everybody that's watched your interviews before, and it's already starting in this interview already, it's just admiring how passionate you are. How passionate you are. And, a lot of people out there need passion. They need that openness, that totally authentic power. Where do you get all this? Your 3 sentences turn into an orchestra. Really, it's awesome.
Dennis, I have a friend in Arizona. His name's Dave Berg, and he's brilliant. He runs Arrowhead Health Centers and a company called Redirect Health. And Dave says, a lot of people ask me about starting a business, and I tell them, if you want to start a business, go fall in love with a group of people and help them. And I think that, in today's day of entrepreneurship, when you look at the companies that are really doing amazing things, Tesla, Zappos, SpaceX, Apple, Facebook, those are companies where somebody is trying to express something great and do something fantastic and change the world. And for me, when I get up every morning, I think of all of the entrepreneurs, all the people like me who are struggling to get ahead, who are, hiring their first person, who are bringing on a secretary or an assistant, who are expanding their team, who are getting office space, who are doing something. and growing this amazing entity called a business that can change our lives and change the world. And for me, it's hard to sleep knowing how many entrepreneurs out there that have amazing ideas. They should be executing them. They should be out there, sharing them with the world. And because we are who we are, we have a hard time doing that. And so for me, my excitement comes from having seen how a single entrepreneur can change everything, and knowing that that is a constant possibility every time that I engage with people.
So your purpose is sort of essentially just, you wake up in the morning and you notice that there's people out there that just need that guidance and by them having this guidance, they're going to change the world. These entrepreneurs.
Dennis, I think entrepreneurs are the most important people in history, and
I agree.
the most important population in the world. And most people don't realize just how crucial it is that there's this subpopulation of people called entrepreneurs who are willing to get up in the morning and chase a dream that doesn't even exist. They're willing to put themselves at personal risk, at emotional risk, at usually financial risk, and risk a lot to be able to create a business that contributes to the world. And it doesn't matter how insignificant or how unseemingly contributory a business is. It doesn't matter if it's a real estate agent or an accountant or someone who, cleans gutters.
Right.
When you get up in the morning and you go out and you exchange your value with other human beings through a business, that's contribution. That's improving the world. And I don't judge people's contribution, because regardless of what an entrepreneur wants to do, I see it as improving the world and moving things forward when they're working for people who see value. And so I have a hard time sleeping when I see that, Dennis.
I'm right there with you. I mean, obviously, I've changed my purpose in this world by podcasting. I've had and always will have the capability to make lots of money. I'm an entrepreneur. But I've devoted the last year and a half to podcasting. And obviously, podcasting doesn't quite make money right off the bat. Essentially, for a year and a half, I've made $0 doing what I'm doing. It's at the point of sacrificing my house at this point. I've got a beautiful home in La Jolla, California, one of the finest places in the world. I've put that at stake. But I keep going back, Alex. I keep going back to, okay, I can go out and I can make $100 an hour doing something else. But what on my mind is I want to be podcasting. I want to contribute. I want to have purpose. And my friends, daily, weekly, whatever it is, they say, Dennis, you need to get a real job. I said, I just look at them and how they're not happy. And what is life all about? Life's all about being happy. It's all about contributing. When you wake up in the morning and you contribute, what's that worth to this world and to you, right? And every one of these people come to me for advice. They come to me when they want to be passionate, but yet they want me to surrender to being in the real world because I'm trying to do podcast. I'm not trying. I am doing podcasting, and I know there's a future for it. It's not going to question my mind. But what you're saying is I'm living that right now. I'm not I'm an example. I'm a real life example of that. Most successful people out there, and I've been very successful in sports. We talked about that earlier, and I'm very successful as a business owner. To the point where I had to work 3 hours a week for a 6-figure income. But this is something new for me. But what you're saying as an entrepreneur does is follow their passion and to contribute. And that's what I've been going after. So I can totally feel that, and how we can convert, I guess, other people out there by what we lead by example and lead by speech and lead by actions is something else.
Absolutely. I think that for any entrepreneur, when, it's interesting what you're describing, Dennis, because I think that entrepreneurs get judged often based on what we want to do or what we attempt to do in the world. I often share with people, every entrepreneur is crazy until they sold something, and you're only crazy if you keep selling. You're only not crazy if you keep selling stuff. You sell something one time, you just go back to being crazy the next day. You just happen to have sold something, and that's how the rest of the world looks at us.
Yeah. I'm in it right now. Yeah.
When I look at entrepreneurs, what I see that the rest of the world doesn't see is that where there is the spark of creativity, where there's a spark of an idea, there's the capability to make that idea come to fruition and create value. And, when somebody's in a situation where they're not making money, where it's not working out for them like where they wanted to, there's a number of things you do. You sit down, you start measuring, you look at what are you really getting out of this and how are you moving this forward? Being an entrepreneur often looks like taking a tremendous amount of risk. But the fact is that when society labels an entrepreneur a risk taker, they inherently stop understanding how our personality is made up. Because where everyone else sees this massive risk, what we see is the opposite. To us, the risk is the status quo. To us, the risk is sitting still, staying in the same place. The risk is not pursuing what we see as a greater outcome, as something better in the world, as something that is going to motivate us, move us forward. And I think it's because the rest of the world chases emotions and deadlines and, I don't know, promotions and all kinds of other stuff. And the fact is that for you and I, it's all about momentum. How are we really feeling about what we're doing every day? Because I've talked to entrepreneurs that are making barely anything and love their life. And I've talked to entrepreneurs that have more money than anyone would possibly need and are suicidal. It's, are we feeling momentum? Are we moving forward?
Absolutely. It's exactly that is what's going to happen going forward in your passion. And obviously there's the correction that goes on with that. You got to adjust and measure it and so on and so forth. But you talked about earlier about that first sale, like it's crazy until that first sale comes along. And that's exactly what I know, not the people around me, is once I secure a sale or secure a sponsor or whatever that happens for a podcast, I know it's smooth sailing from there because I've already been there before in that part. And entrepreneurs out there or people that are considering or wanting to be entrepreneurs, being examples here today on two levels, is there's nothing more in life than waking up in the morning, regardless of dollars, and realizing that contribution has happened. Because if I had to switch it around and go and do pizzas, delivering pizzas, or be a CEO at a company that's just not, it's presentation after presentation for 10 hours and you're in board meetings and running around in circles, it would be so empty. I'd be coming home to such an empty, my mind stops at the end of the day, but stops for what? Stops for what? To go sit in the room and watch TV?
Yeah, no, I think that's, I often share with people that there's just a massive difference between entrepreneurs and the rest of the world. And it's hard for most people to understand. But, when I speak to entrepreneurs and I share with them, 1 out of 5 people in the United States watches a show like Wheel of Fortune every night. 1 out of 5. When Wheel of Fortune does not get played because there's breaking news or something happened in the world or something like, they immediately get tens of thousands of phone calls at the networks that Wheel of Fortune isn't playing. Because there's people sitting in their chair and they, like, when that doesn't come on, that is really a big issue in their lives, like just missing that show. I would bet there's not a lot of entrepreneurs who have seen Wheel of Fortune more than once or twice, because that level of monotony, that level of speed of entertainment just that's not what we do. And when you look at the rest of the world, I think that exemplifies who we are. Most of us have trouble sitting still for a half hour. The rest of the world actively attempts to turn off their brain for a half hour every night at 7:00 when Wheel of Fortune comes out.
Alex, I got a question. What is your favorite day of the week?
I don't know. That's an interesting one. I don't know that I have one. I like the day of the week where the most stuff sells.
There you go. No, I like hearing that question, because when you're in peak performance as an entrepreneur, there's not really a specific day.
I don't know that there is.
There is. The weekends don't exist because weekends are just another day. The only thing difference on a weekends is nobody's going to have less people bothering you, I guess, to work. You can get more efficiently working. But that's the same kind of idea I had when I was working as an entrepreneur. Well, I am still, but I actually kind of bought into the weekend thing because of the people I was hanging around with, which I've now changed that back to, which is a good point that I would love to bring up actually if you're out there and you're an entrepreneur, I did it two ways. As a professional athlete, I hung around with athletes, and I was one of the best in the world in that category. I started a business, and I started hanging out with people that were in other businesses. They were very successful in other businesses, but I wasn't as successful in that business because I thought if I could hang out with millionaires and this and that, I would learn from them. But then I came back to podcasting, and now I'm around people that are podcasters, online marketers, and so on and so forth. I am excelling much faster again. I'm kind of back in that athlete mode, which is a very interesting subject.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, one of the things that I've noticed about being an entrepreneur is it's everything, not everything, but a lot of what you do is affected by who you're around.
Absolutely.
And most entrepreneurs have the habit of isolating in their lifetimes. Things get a little rough. We pull back, we hide. We don't see all the answers we want. We pull back, we hide. We are exceptional at isolating. And if you're listening and you think, oh, I don't do that. Well, the reality is every entrepreneur does. Some of us just isolate in public. We're not sharing what's really going on. We're not telling people what's happening for us. And that can put us into that place where we're really not moving forward. And the way to create momentum as an entrepreneur, the way that we move forward is through being transparent. We started this broadcast talking about authenticity. And what is the tactic? How do you functionally become authentic? And one of the things that I share with every CEO I've ever worked with is he who is most transparent wins. And they always look at me funny because when you think of, or when a lot of people think of an entrepreneur, a CEO, they think of someone who is high-powered, maybe a little secretive, knows a lot of stuff, plays it close to the vest, kind of one of those can line up a meeting and knock them down. And the fact is that usually nothing's further from the truth. Most entrepreneurs aren't that great at communicating. Most are not that good at showing what they want or telling people what they want or explaining what they want in a way that makes it clear for the people around them to deliver. Most entrepreneurs have a really hard time telling people how they feel. But the more transparent we are, the more we tell people how we're feeling instead of what we think we want from them or what's really going on for us, the more we allow the people around us to fill in and help us make things better. And so for me, if I can coach a CEO or an entrepreneur to be more honest with his staff, more transparent, more clear, everything changes.
Which is what you were just doing recently. Actually, you do it all the time. But the reason I am on this subject is because of your post. You were talking about these people are looking for more increased mind and body connection in their businesses. That's what they're missing, and they're coming to you for that. Can you explain more about that post?
Sure, absolutely. So Dennis, what's happening today, and this is, so first let me kind of give you an idea of where I work with entrepreneurs. We have an event center here. I'm sitting in our office here in Austin, and anybody who wants to can look it up and see we have a pretty amazing space. And so we do 2-day events. We bring entrepreneurs in and we help them learn how to scale and grow companies really faster than anybody else. People come in and like one example, I started working with Andrew O'Brien about 5 months ago, and he just had his first 6-figure month, and he's a brand new entrepreneur. So working with people and helping them create and scale businesses is kind of what we do. And I think when it comes to what entrepreneurs are realizing is that the way we behave, the way we respond, the way we're triggered, the way that the world around us causes us to feel is really affecting our success. And what I'm getting asked more and more from entrepreneurs is, how do I control my emotions? How do I control my physiology? How do I stay more present? How do I increase mind-body connection? And what's interesting, Dennis, is I go out and I do a 4-hour presentation that I used to do where I would only get questions about how to build a team. And today I get almost exclusively questions on how do I improve myself? Because so many entrepreneurs are realizing that the next stage of growth in their company, regardless of how big their company is, we're finally realizing that we grow our companies when we grow, not the other way around. Like, our companies grow much faster when we grow ourselves, and as a result, our companies grow, than when we go try and bust the equation of the company. Like, I'm going to sell more, I'm going to do more, but we don't improve ourselves. In fact, a lot of times you grow the company without really growing yourself, it comes tumbling right back down. And so these days, people are asking me about these things. And Dennis, I have 4 pillars. It's breathing, like how much are you breathing? Hydration, taking on water, nothing else, just water. Nutrition and movement. And when I go out to talk today, that's what people ask about. And the fastest way that, I know, I look for hacks. I look for how can I help every entrepreneur do better every day? One of the things I shared with the millionaires at MIT was that if you get up and you go outside every morning before you're really involved with screens and you spend 20 minutes walking, you can get a 12-hour dopamine increase in your body. That is like the momentum molecule. It helps you make decisions. It helps you feel better. You know, all of those things that we need as an entrepreneur. So a quick walk every morning changes our brains, changes the chemicals in our bodies. Those are the types of things that we're helping entrepreneurs create a whole new level of success with.
That's awesome. Speaking of your business, you said you have some new product coming out that you just wanted to share with us as well.
Absolutely, Dennis. So,
I want to hear about it too. So
Sure. So as you know, I've been working with high level individuals for most of my career and some of the wealthiest people in the world and helping them move forward. And when you work at that level where each meeting is leveraged, where every second of the day means something, you start seeing that there are some commonalities in how we create success. There really are. And what I can tell you about working with people at the highest level is that I have to start with first helping them address what's going on for them. And it doesn't matter what income level, what company size, what reputation, what business experience someone has had. I always start with helping them understand themselves better and figure out where they really are creating momentum in their lives. And so for about the past year, I've been working on that content in front of masterminds, in front of small groups. I get flown in occasionally to meet with very small mastermind groups for high dollars. And then some of the discrete consulting that I've done. And what we did was we continued to refine this process where anyone can find the major underlying forward-looking issue in their lives and get momentum around everything. Because here's what I found, Dennis. Most entrepreneurs, most people, not just entrepreneurs, most people who are stuck today are stuck because they kind of know where they want their life to end up. And they kind of know what they want to do, and they kind of know what to do each day, but they're having trouble getting those two to connect. And we have this new product, Awaken Your Superpower, that in just a few hours online will help you connect profoundly to what are the issues that will help you move everything else forward. And it's pretty intense. It's available at charfen.com/superpower. And it's a $500 product. We have it on a promotion right now. Anyone who goes to that link can see it. It's about 60% off. And it's one of those products that we built purposefully because we see such a dramatic need in the market. Dennis, I know you're seeing this too. So many entrepreneurs just don't know how to take the next step to get back into momentum.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, it's a tough thing to deal with them because you're obviously always having to change, always trying to strive for the next thing. Obviously, in my situation, getting the first sales, getting the first sponsors, getting the first superstar to share you on, 2 million followers or something like that.
Sure,
and
sure.
You get that one break that, all of a sudden you get 500 subscribers or whatever. There's always that big break one company needs. And people are going through a lot of emotions to get to that place. And whether it's a sale or a big contract or something that has to take you to that level. And then you get to that level and then you get comfortable. And then you need to look back again at products like you're selling here and help regain that momentum again. Because we get comfortable, we move on. We get comfortable. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think anyone who's out there right now who thinks that they can be doing more, who knows that they're meant for more, who's been struggling with what is that next step and how do you get that momentum that you should have or you feel you should have, don't deny that. Don't pretend like that feeling's not there. Don't tell yourself, oh, it shouldn't be me, or I shouldn't be feeling this way, or I shouldn't think this. Lean into that feeling. And when you go through the process, and it's a very discrete process that we've laid out in Awaken Your Superpower, where anyone in a few hours can go through, answer the questions, go through the exercises that we put together. I'm there with you, and very quickly figure out what it is in their life that they can change. What behavior modifications should they make right now where everything in their life gets easier? And when people say, how do you do this? I'll give you an example. Andrew O'Brien, who I brought up earlier, he's a friend of mine. He's come to our classes. When he and I started working together, he was just launching his business. Today, he has a 5-person team. He just had a $100,000 month. And the punchline is that we did all of that really by focusing more on his life than on his business. He had some issues with his fiance. He had some other things that were unspoken. He sat down, really did some work, and very quickly, by addressing what was going on in his life, he created a massive amount of success. Dennis, I see that all the time.
Because it opens up the door, right?
Well, in my language, it lowers pressure and noise. You know, I think that all of us carry around a tremendous amount of pressure and a lot of noise. And when we can lower that, calm that, get some certainty, move in the right direction, we can do just about anything.
You know, I've seen a couple of movies on TV recently that involve Navy SEALs, and before they go on a mission, they say, go home, take care of your family, clear away all of your problem, get everything off your mind because we're going to war or going to a mission. Kind of like what you're saying right there is exactly true. Is like, you can't do business with all this stuff on your mind. You can't carry that weight around and sure, you can be successful, but you can be more successful.
Well, let's admit it, Dennis. Let's just admit the fact about being an entrepreneur. It is traumatic.
Yeah.
And I don't mean dramatic with a D, traumatic with a T.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to a friend of mine this weekend who lives in my neighborhood, very successful entrepreneur, and Harvard MBA, has the pedigree with, you know, a couple of software as a service companies, has done amazing. And largest company of its type. And he told me that for the past 3 years running his company, every morning he gets up and it feels like life and death. Life and death. Mm-hmm. Like, that's real for entrepreneurs. It feels like life and death. And what happens is, especially if you're running your own gig, if you're the CEO, you get up in the morning, you feel like life and death, you start getting reactive, you go after the day, there's all kinds